Play-by-play on Sports Joe and Her, brought to you by AIG, in support of 20 by 20.
Hello and welcome to Play by Play. I'm Jenny Murphy. Welcome to a brand new show brought to you by Sports Joe and Her, proudly supported by AIG and in support of the 20 by 20 campaign. So this week we're going to be focusing on a little excerpt from Martina O'Brien on the Cork win at the weekend over Galway. We're also going to be chatting a little bit about that pretty nasty injury from Cora Staunton, a look at Leona Maguire and her fantastic performance on the Ladies European Tour. But first, I've got to introduce my guests. Joining us today, we have Sarah Rowe, Mayo footballer. And because we couldn't find anybody else, we had to bring Niamh McEvoy, Dublin footballer, back in because she loves herself and the camera so much.
Well done, Jenny. It only took you one time, 2, 3.
Thanks very much. I felt like, that was the third time. That was the third take that
improving
started. But I feel
week.
like I feel like I got it.
Third time lucky.
So, how did you feel that went there out of 10? Took too long to answer. That means it was crap. Thank you very much. Sound.
There's an improvement on last week. Just
great.
Incremental gains.
Thanks, guys. Well, moving swiftly on from you guys being mean to me, do you want to dive right into the competition part of the weekly podcast?
Fine. I'm nervous.
Okay, so a bit of an introduction. So it's Words of the Week. I'm going to mention a female athlete's quote, and it's up to these two guys to try and guess first. Now, at the moment, Mackers has a 100% losing rate. She hasn't won at all since we started the first episode 1 episode ago, but still a Brad. So no pressure on you whatsoever, Sarah, but it's going to be pretty tough. So, you guys ready?
Yeah, go first.
Okay, hold on. It's just on the second sheet there. So this is kind of in relation to a little bit what we're going to be talking about later on in terms of injury and stuff like that, just to give you a little bit of context. People say, I don't know if she'll come back. Well, I know.
So
something to do with Cora's injury.
So it's not. It's an athlete that has been injured, and this was when she was talking about making the comeback. So
did she do an ACL?
I think she did. She did a number of stuff. It was a knee injury.
Is it Mia Hamm?
No. You always guess Mia Hamm.
I know, because she had a really serious cruciate injury and she's really impressive.
Okay. No, it is not Mia Hamm.
Okay.
Good guess again. The same one as last week.
Am I on the right track? No.
No.
Okay.
How can you be on the right track if you didn't make a guess yet?
Oh,
was your guess
I didn't say it was Cora, but I said it was someone to do with Cora who was saying.
Yeah. No. So at the moment, yourself and Cora are in we're in a nice sunny climate. This sport would not take place in somewhere like Australia.
Skiing.
Mackers. Yes, you're on the right road.
I don't know her name. Did she just retire?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't a clue.
Oh, man. You guys suck. Okay, let me see. Let me try and just give you some more clues.
Charades. Okay. Sounds like.
Okay. So,
is it her first name?
I don't want to use like one of the reasons why she's famous, but she dated Tiger Woods for a while.
Oh.
She has. Hold on. She's got a pretty impressive resume. 20 World Cup titles, competed in 4 Olympics, 1 gold medal, and 2 bronze, I think.
You're making us sound like a joke that we don't know who this is.
To be fair, like it's a winter sport that is definitely not in the Irish eye a lot of the time.
And she has like a foundation for like young girls. I can't remember what her name is.
Okay, first name. It rhymes with Minzy. Her first name.
Lindsay.
Yeah. Second name.
What does it rhyme with?
Okay, second name rhymes with pawn. Minzy Pawn. Minzy.
Swan.
No. Come on, guys, you're killing me.
Fawn.
Pardon?
Fawn.
I'll accept it. Oh, even though I don't. Vaughn.
Lindsay Vaughn.
Lindsay Vaughn.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, 0 points. You both get nothing.
I knew it was the skier who just retired. and I should get
Yeah,
half
she
a
did
mark.
well.
Don't give her those. No, that's
thanks,
pity
girl.
points.
Yeah,
No.
no.
I did
I
better
was
than Sarah.
hopeless. Yeah.
Oh, so she was really nice, and then you tried to shop her up by being like, "I was better than her." Sound. Don't.
No, I just want me to be here and
No,
someone else to
at
be.
the moment, still Conan on top.
I don't like this game.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you're both not very good at it, so
Sorry,
that
Saz.
stands to reason. Anyway, stuff that you were better at: Gaelic football and AFL. We'll move swiftly on because that was a disaster. Great, good work. Rhymes with Minzy Pawn. What did you say? Great. Okay, that was. We'll blame Niamh, the producer, for picking that quote.
I half knew it. I just don't know names. I'm bad
Like
with names.
the guys that are hopefully tuning in to listen to this after what, like, I think was a pretty good first episode, are now going to be like, oh, it's dipped.
Yeah.
It's taken a dip. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Move
We'll get
on.
back on to more important stuff. You've re-signed for Collingwood. Congratulations. Is that an
Yeah.
easy decision?
Yeah, more or less. It was, I suppose, something I discussed before I came back home, and I suppose it was just to weigh up the options in regards to Mayo and let my family and friends know and all that. But it was a really easy decision. There was a few more clubs there. I suppose you always have the option with it only being 1-year contracts to move clubs to a different club, but that was never really an option for me. I think they had been so good to me the 6 months that I was there that I'd certainly loyalty towards them. So I think that's a GAA thing. We just so I wanted to go back for more, but to the same club.
And like it was probably a tough year going into it. Like they didn't have the best results. Conference B.
Yeah,
won.
I don't need a reminder.
Well, for the viewers that maybe aren't all the way up to date, and I, to be fair, I
She's a
mercilessly
savage.
slagged
Just
her.
prepare yourself. And more of the same for the rest of them.
Listen, like similar to Words of the Week being bottom of the table.
You're like, Mackers.
That was us,
but
yeah.
in AFL.
That was
I
us.
was going to
We
go
got the
soft,
wooden
and then I was
spoon,
like,
basically.
Yeah. However, last year Carlton got the wooden spoon, and then they were in
Yeah.
the final. So
Yeah.
there's possibly a huge turnaround.
you can't really tell who's going to be in the it's very inconsistent because there's such player movement every year. We lost 12 players the year before through the trade, so that was kind of North Melbourne took a lot of our players, so that's why I think we struggled with a very young side and very inexperienced. So it did take us a while to get us off the ground. Even with our first win was the very last game. So
It's nice to on high, like.
yeah,
Yeah.
at least that.
Yeah.
But no, really good bunch, really good culture, like good foundations behind us and all that. It was just purely inexperience and youth, I think.
And so you've got the Carlton captain
Brie Davey.
Davey joining as well. Which that is probably
That's
that kind of
massive for us. Like it was really big news when we heard that there was a possibility of her trading. So to get her, we had to give away like 4 draft picks, which I don't know if you understand how that works, do you? Yeah. Well, yeah. So we give away our top 4 draft picks.
That didn't sound too patronising. It's fine. Yeah, it's okay.
I still don't fully understand it, so I was like, surely you mightn't understand it really. But took so our first 4 draft picks. So obviously shows the quality that she is. She's an unbelievable player. She had I think she was like player of the match the day we played her, and like obviously being a captain as well, she's a really good leader. So it's massive for us.
And then as well, a new coach coming in. I know you don't know who it is as well, but that's a huge unknown too. And that adds another layer of difficulty. Or is it something that you're kind of looking forward to, a new face and maybe new things to learn?
Yeah, well, sad to see our other coach go, of course. Like he was extremely good to me and we had a really good relationship. But I suppose with a new coach coming in, it means there's pressure for places and everyone has to redo everything, and you'll never live off your name obviously in sport, but I think in particular when there's an old coach is there for a few years, you know, they could say, oh, we know what she can do and we'll keep her on the pitch, whereas this puts everyone under pressure, which means the standards are going to raise from all the girls. So I think it's a good thing, and I think it's nice to get a fresh start, and I'm looking forward to figuring out who it'll be, but apparently I've heard there's lots of interest, so that's exciting.
Yeah, and you were saying the reason is you're the only team currently looking for a coach at the moment. So again,
yeah. So I've heard there's ex-men's players and there's ex-AFLW players, like a lot of people applying. So I think we should know probably in the next 2 weeks who the coach is. But there'll be certain people who will stay. So like our list manager and our head of development in sports. So there'll still be a bit of stability there. Just be a change of the head coach, and then he'll bring in whoever he wants, I suppose, or she.
And you were saying like one of the, what was probably, I know you were talking about the bounce of the ball and learning all those. Was there one stark like, I didn't know that, or a big learning that you found?
Definitely the rules of the game. Like it was just like constant. Like if you were to think about like Gaelic football and break it down to how many rules there is, you think, oh, it's pretty simple. 4 steps, hop a solo, kick the ball. Like you think it's fairly easy, but when you actually break it down, there's so much more to it. There's just like small things, like if I didn't hand the ball back to the referee, which I'd place it on the ground, I'd give away a 50-metre penalty. So I did that, of course, and I was like, oh my God. And then the ball hit the post and I played on, and I was like, the ball landed to me right in front of the goals after it hit the post. I was like, lovely, nice easy goal for me. Yeah. And next thing, everyone was just pissing themselves off, and everyone's like, no, you don't do that. And I was like, well, in every other sport in the world, you basically play on when it hits the post. So I was like, you're the ones that have the problem. They were like, no.
What happens if it hits the post?
Is that you just get a point for hitting the post.
Right.
So yeah, things like small things like that. And also, if someone takes a mark and you run by them within a 15-metre radius of them, you give away a 15-metre penalty. So even if a player runs by you and you're trying to defend a player who's after running by the player on the mark, you're I'm going to go defend this player, but you actually have to go out and around the 15 metres, which made no sense to me. I was like, there's a player there, can I not run there? But if I ran into that
direct line of
within
path,
that line of path, you give away another 15-metre penalty. And the 15-metre penalty could have started at the middle of the ground, and it brings them right up to the front of the goal, and you've given away a goal. So, there's just things like that.
How many goals did you give away?
I think I gave away one in a challenge game, and then in training I'd do things like that, or I'd step over the mark. Wherever the player would take the mark, I'd step 1 foot even ahead of it, and I give away another 15-metre penalty. It's happened to me loads of times in training, but I get killed in training, then I'd be like, okay. I had my little notepad, and I wrote down everything before games. I'd be like, refreshing everything, being like, don't make these mistakes, because they really will cost us the game.
Yeah. I remember the first time I played, I was a big Gaelic and soccer, and the first time I played rugby.
The rules don't really apply to you, Jen, anyway.
Yeah. No, it was because the whole ruck and the offside rule was just completely different. So the ball would pop out of the ruck, and amazingly, I was able to fit a scrum cap on this head of hair. And I was kind of like, oh, look, there it is. There's the ball. And just kind of toddle around the ruck and get pinged for everything. Got kicked in the head in that game as well. So
I think
you have a nice cushion though.
Yeah, it's like
head full
concussion
of
free.
I know
really,
Lindsay Peachy's even she still even sometimes gets thrown for those little pieces of indiscipline. But I can only imagine I'd. Yeah.
Oh, and Lindsay gets so much abuse as well.
And you start I used to start taking the hits really personal as well, obviously, because you can't tackle in football. Yeah. Someone would kind of hit me off the ball, and I'd be like, excuse me, you have a personal problem with me, in my head. And then I'd be like, oh yeah. And then I kind of got into it, and I actually enjoyed that physical side of things, which I was kind of a bit afraid of that. Yeah. On the way over, I was like, that'll be the one area I'll struggle in, but I actually got used to it, and your body learns how to defend itself. I'm sure you know that with rugby. So
you're saying that there should be a shoulder
in football? Yeah, I think there should be a little bit more.
I would like a bit more.
Play on the edge,
large, and I guess I don't get away with. Do you know, smaller people use their whole body weight. If I was to do that, it'd be straight in the bin every time.
No, but, so contact and all that kind of stuff.
Dublin do play on the edge.
Well,
within
the rules,
hasn't done them any. Been pretty good for them, all right. So playing on the edge, all Ireland medals. I'll take that. Grand. So it's been pretty good. Bounce of the ball, AFL, and 2 awards. That's not too bad going as well. Come on, we have to speak about the good stuff. I know it's a bit cringe, but Niamh told me to tell you how great you are, so I have to do it. Different Niamh. Oh look, you did as well. Okay, so we'll go into the awards. So first one, you're gonna have to explain this. So there's 2. One of them was best first year player at your club. Was that pretty self-explanatory? Is that?
Yeah, so just basically the new players who came into the club. So there's 2 rookies, who's me and another netballer, and then there's all the players who got drafted. So there's about maybe 12 of them, I think. So yeah, just I think the coaches vote, and whoever gets the most votes basically wins the award.
Okay, so it's like a players' vote, so it's not...
Not a players' vote, no,
or
it's
well,
like
like
coaches'
it's a...
vote.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
kind of the
good.
way it
Instead of, like,
works.
one
So the
person.
club, and there's like coaches on and people in the offices who vote as well. So I think it's fairly widespread in the club. But I don't know, I suppose it's down to the people in the club. They've done so much for me and they helped me so much. It was a very nice honour, obviously, to get an award, but not really what it's about all the same. But still nice to get it, I
Still
suppose.
nice to get it. And then
Yeah.
your other award, so this is Women's Footy AFL Multicultural Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Seems like AFL, so like a little bit of a bigger one.
I don't know.
It's okay.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I think, just the players who aren't from Australia. That's what that was.
So that's a sizable net. There's a good chunk
Yeah.
of like Irish players.
girls.
And then it's also Australians that weren't born in Australia there. So like, yeah, own it. It's a good award. Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah,
the
no, it
Irish.
was just it was, so then you gave like half your money to the charity. So I picked Headspace, which was the mental health. So it's just because there's a lot of girls. It's funny when you go over there and you kind of get a different perspective on things, and you're with, like, on my team there was a girl who went to the Olympics in bobsleigh, which is so random, a girl who was a hockey player, Olympian as well, then 2 Australian netballers. So there's like such a wide diversity of people there. So it was to kind of, I talked to all them kind of people who'd experienced a lot in sport, and I realised that actually a lot of them have suffered from mental health issues along the way, and I'm not saying it's down to their sport. I'm sure their sport has helped them out of it, but I think there's so many highs and lows in sport that I just thought it was very relevant to my teammates. So that's why I went with
No,
that.
that's like, I think as sport psychology is now, and kind of being aware about it. I know, like, it's even here, players, both Gaelic, rugby, football, are a lot more comfortable and open talking about it. Like, Marcus, did you find yourself with like do you like a team psychologist or anything like that, or?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually are really lucky that one of our selectors, so one of our forward coaches, is like, it's actually her profession. Like, she's a psychologist, and she would have played with us in 2010. So anyone who's as old as me who's still around would know Elaine Kelly, so would know Redzer, and I suppose Mick's really good. Like, I know we were talking about this before, coaches who just know where their strengths are and know where their weaknesses are, and he would have brought Elaine in to originally just as a forwards coach, because she's a very impressive footballer herself, but then it just transpired that she ended up kind of filling in that role as well. So in the past we would have enlisted the help of like outside psychologists, but we're just so lucky that we have someone that we're really comfortable with who is actually really, really good in that field. And absolutely there's girls on my team who, it's a funny one because, like, unless you know them, you wouldn't be aware at all that they'd have these problems. And sometimes it's actually the more extroverted girls who are really bubbly and really happy that, suffer from these type of things. And it's just great that I know that we have Elaine there who is nearly a friend, like, and it's so easy to kind of...
Excuse me.
No bother, thanks, Jen.
I was like,
Bless
this
you.
is really good stuff, but I was like, no, I could felt the sneeze coming. I was like, oh.
Thanks
no,
so much
Jen,
for waiting.
Oh. I really tried, but at the end I was like, hurry up, Mackers, quick.
Mackers, shut up. Yeah, no, it is. It's massive, and fair play to you. Yeah, no, that's great. But
like, and do you, any of you guys nerves before games? Like, I know I had, like, it doesn't matter what kind of game, club, provincial or international, I would still, I don't know, like at the start I was bag of nerves and thought it was a bad thing, and now it's good that I'm so nervous about it. It must be important to me.
I don't know, is that something that we just tell ourselves? I think something we've told ourselves over the years. Nerves are a good thing. I think it's like such a cliche that you hear all the time, but no, absolutely. Like, you do perform well when you're nervous, you know what I mean? And I certainly I actually think my nerves are getting worse as I get older. I don't know, what do you think?
I think I'm definitely get quite nervous before games, but like more so I'm just so on edge, like the night before and stuff like that. I'm like, something to do tomorrow, and you're just like, I just kind of want it to be over, but then when you're in it, you're enjoying it, you want it to keep going, but you just, in one way, you want it to be nearly over to know the result.
Yeah, like this. Well, the stress in the lead up to the games is
definitely.
Yeah, no, because we'd had like, do you know you'd have, sometimes you'd be in your hotel or your house and you'd see people going to the games and they're kitted out or whatever, and you're like, oh God, I'd love to be there. Like, that would be me for a second. I'd be looking at it and be like, oh, look, they're all having fun, and I'm just not in a good place. But then once the minute the whistle goes, it's fine. But at the start, I was like, I used to go over in my head like, oh my God, these are all the things that I'm really, really crap at.
Oh no, Jen.
Yeah.
Jen, you need to go see the sports psychologist.
Yeah, no. So we had, I can't remember who, someone came in.
It depends on the day though, doesn't it? Some days you actually do think like that, and then other days you're like, I'm flying it now. After the warm up.
Yeah. No, but now I'm much better. I'm like, no. These are all the stuff that I'm class at.
Yeah.
And like, even though you're like, because some of the girls would actually watch. Like, it sounds like such a naff thing to do, but they'd watch like highlights
of their good
of their good bits, and then it would be like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Macros watches highlight stuff just when she's
Yeah, I
going
saw her. Did you see her with the paper on the way in?
Yeah.
Reading herself.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not the case.
Unbelievable.
Guys,
She's like, she was zooming in. Oh, I'm not going there, but she was just zooming in. She's like, Jen, look at my calves. They look unbelievable.
what have I come back here for?
Sorry, Macros, I'm just going to take
Fake
a smug
news, by the
slurp
way.
of this
That
empty
is
mug.
not the truth.
No, sorry. Sorry about that, Macros. We'll move swiftly on. Apologies, that was... You don't look at pictures of your calves. I was only messing.
They
And
are
then we just...
fab calves.
They are fab calves. They're great. You all have great calves.
I don't have calves.
That's going to be a weird soundbite. I hope that's not used for anything. This is taking a turn. Anyway, we'll speak about more grimmer stuff. Cora's injury. Pretty grim. Tibia and fibula break. The third quarter of the game. Were you in contact with her? Or do you know how she is? Or I know it's post off.
Yeah. I'd say that she's gotten a lot of messages this week, so I'd say she's just kind of trying to gather her thoughts. So it wouldn't be annoying her at the minute anyway. But just you wouldn't wish it on anyone. It's horrible now to have that this stage in her career, and her doing so well this season as well, out with the Giants, and I suppose plenty more ahead of her, you would think. And I know her as an athlete. I know that she'll be back, and she'll definitely give it a right go.
Yeah, I think when and especially when you're in such good nick going into something, it's horrific, but the fact that she's, finished the season, has got through it, and is kind of really strong, has built up all the muscles, you'd hope that we'd see her back in.
Prehab kind of
Yeah.
I would hope for her own sake, obviously she's closer towards the end of her career than say you are, Sarah. I would hope that this isn't something, we often see it, say Paul O'Connell that time, career ending injury, hamstring off the bone. I would hope, because of the absolutely amazing career she's had, I hope she's in a position to, and like you said, her as an athlete, she will come back from this, but I hope she's in a position to kind of finish her career on her own terms, and not
exactly.
I would hate to see that for her, the way she's, her sporting career to date. I'd love her to be able to.
Well, she's in the best environment that she could be for rehab and all that. So if I suppose she probably planned to come home for a Carnacon Championship. So it's now that'll probably be out of the question, and then maybe she might stay over in Australia. And if she does that, she's in really good environment, really good medical team. You're in the best position possible to get back. So
yeah, she's come back from big injuries before, and speaking to Mackers before as well, so Ali Miller, she did pretty much the exact same injury, so broke her tib and fib, and then it was a compound fracture on top of that. So she broke it she did the damage against Italy in the second game of the Six Nations, I think, second or third game, and speaking to Ali is so pig-headed. I mean that in the best possible way. She was kind of no, I think being stubborn as an athlete is a good thing, and that her thoughts were, I'm going to end it on my terms. So the amount of rehab, and we kind of did our injury at the same time. She obviously won the race back, raging. No, not raging like that, raging that she got there before me. But yeah, she was back within the year playing. She only played, I think she played 2 games and then was back in the Six Nations squad. got a few tries because that's what she does.
I'm
and
not
then
sure if this is a myth that people like just say, but isn't it better sometimes to just have like a break a bone than sometimes some of these ligament injuries can be, do you know, like, because it's just it's like a set time, and I don't know, I don't know, that could just be a complete rumour, like.
Well, like for you guys, is there, and especially you going into the AFL with that added kind of contact element that isn't in the women's game at the moment, was that ever a fear? Like, I know you spoke about, the contact was an area that you weren't 100% sure when you coped fine, but is that, hearing that now about like an old teammate, would that be ever in
like some really horrific injuries? One of my teammates was out for the full season. She broke her leg as well, and broke it in so many places. She's been out for the last, I think, year and 2 months, but a really bad injury, and people would say she's only 22. People would have said it was career ending as well, but she's on the way back as well. And really, Achilles injuries, I've seen a lot of shoulder injuries and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just that bit more physical, and you're liable to do a bigger injury.
Is that like, are those injuries coming from a tackle or
coming from tackle? Yeah, and the getting your arms up as well, and you can tackle obviously from the shoulders down. I can see a lot of people subluxed their shoulders. Like a good few of the girls strap both their shoulders have done surgery on both of them. So there has been a lot of injuries shoulder wise, and I've seen ankles and legs as well.
Because I think I know with rugby anyway, if you have the ball, for the most part, the danger zone is kind of like here, as in like they're kind of in front of you. You can see where
that's
it's
the thing,
coming
it's
from.
tackled from behind.
Yeah, you're just not braced.
You can never prepare yourself for that. You obviously, like when you see someone coming at you, you're going tense. But when someone comes in from behind, the first week of training, I think someone came in from behind. I was like, hadn't a clue, got absolutely crunched. But anyway, came out alive.
The two of you like advocating for contacting GAA. You're like, yeah, bring it in.
It's great. I love it.
Injure other people.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, you get injured yourself as well.
Can't tackle anyway in football, so.
You can tackle in a. How's your tackling? How would you rate your tackling in AFL?
It was probably better than football, but that's because football is like, you never know, depending on a referee, you never know what you can and can't do. So it's very, like, there's no specific. What would you say?
Yeah, I suppose the rule is that you just have to wait for the ball to be out from the person's chest, so you can't like actually stick a hand in until the ball is out. That's the rule, but it's just however.
I never even knew that.
Yeah,
that
so you supposed to have the discipline to stay in the game until they actually go to play it, like hand pass, kick, or hop or solo. But like, do you know, there's players who get really clean dispossessions when the ball is in, and they're
Sinead Burke actually did one really good tackle at the weekend, but because the ball was in here, it was free against her. But she didn't touch anyone's hand. She literally just touched the ball, flicked it out of their hands.
In that situation,
it's free against. Yeah,
she should have got away with it.
Yeah. So is that like? Would you find the AFL a bit more consistent in terms of the officiating of the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like, it's realistically, there's not much more to it other than it being from your shoulders down. You can tackle if you go too high, you'll get a free against you. But other than that, and you also can tackle someone and spin them at the same time. So
have you made an attempt at a mark yet? I've seen the amazing marks where they're like, you're able to basically knee someone in the back to get like a step up in the air.
Oh yeah, unreal. You'd actually be good at that.
Thanks, girl.
The height.
Oh my god,
I'm like this smaller forward, so I'm never really taking marks up high. I'm kind of like, my position was more so when them bigger, like taller players went up for marks, that I'd be under their chest and ready to get the ball, or else I'd mark the ball kind of around the midfield area, like out in front, just there.
Because I was looking at all the weird names they have, like the crumbs and stuff, or like crumb. Yeah,
it's confusing.
Crummy.
Yeah, beautiful. Right, we're going to move on, but firstly, just want to say best of luck to Cora Staunton in her recovery. No doubt we'll see her in that orange sleeveless top, getting an even golden suntan in no time at all. We're just going to catch up with Martina O'Brien, and we caught up with her before the game at the weekend. So let's have a look.
Yeah, yes and no, I suppose. Like, it doesn't, like, when any players that come in that are, whether they're minor or that they've had some sort of underage career or whatever with Cork, it is still hard that you do have to be in the setup maybe for 2 years, a year or 2 years to get a feel for intercounty football. It's totally different coming from minor to playing senior intercounty football. I mean, The hits are harder. It's faster. The fitness levels are massive, like, so it takes you a year to kind of maybe get used to that. But a lot of the girls have been in since last year, so they'd have had that little bit of experience, and then they get to use it this year, I suppose.
Yeah.
And a good lot of the girls, I'd say, everyone got some league time this year, so they're kind of up to the pace of it now. I suppose they're kind of understand, yeah, this is what's needed. I have to put in this effort if I want to be playing or if I want to have any chance of playing.
You obviously mentioned how you started in camogie. How did you, I suppose, originally get across the football? Like, how did you make that decision or transition over?
Well, like, I only played camogie for my club and would have played hurling, and then when you're playing GAA with the boys, you just play football. Like, there was no two ways about it, you just did it. And if you were any way good or could run, they had you, because it was a small club that I played with, so they had you playing anyway. But then I suppose I was 16 when I started playing ladies football, because there wouldn't have been any real ladies teams around or anything specifically for girls to play. So I only started playing ladies football then, and it started getting popular then because Cork were in All-Ireland finals and they were winning, and it just grew from there then. The big thing now with girls is keeping them playing, and thankfully for us, our parents, they weren't pushy or anything, but they did say, look, do you know, it's good, keep going, keep going. We got friends from it and we understood how important it was in our lives then, and we just kept going. I suppose that's what you want to kind of teach other girls or boys, Jesus, anyone, to kind of participate in sport, is keep going. It is enjoyable. You will meet new people, and it opens avenues for you in life as well, and jobs and whatever, like, you know, if you can kind of keep involved.
I suppose at a junior level, a lot of people would stay in sport because their parents kind of make them, and then once they kind of hit 18, they go to college, you see a drop off. There is, of course, but I suppose as someone that's probably stayed around at a senior level for a while now, what do you think maybe could be done better to maybe encourage more girls or more boys even just to stay in at that level?
I suppose it's hard because, like, there's so much pulling their attention. Like, if it's not other sport, it's something else, and, like, I suppose it's just to make it, and ladies football are doing really well, make it more attractive, I suppose, to you, like, be able to, I suppose, say it's for everybody. Do you know, not that it's just for this girl who's really fit. It's for any girl, even if you are not, or you don't think you're as fit as your friend, that it's still for you, like. Do you know, it's, I suppose, making it accessible for everybody, not just someone who's really sporty. It's hard when you look back, because you kind of, there wasn't really loads of role models that were women. Like, you wouldn't see them on the TV, you wouldn't see them on the paper. You would see them if you went to a match or whatever, like, and obviously, do you know, you'd like to Sonia Sullivan, you'd see her because she's on a national stage or whatever. But role models, I suppose I attended a lot of camogie matches when I would have been young. Like Fiona O'Driscoll, she would have been one that would come out of my head, that because she was a forward as well for Cork, she was probably one that was always scoring, so her name was always there, it was in the paper. And then following Cork, it would have been like the big names, like your Juliet Murphy, Elaine Hart, all those, Valerie McCahey, you know, Rena Buckley, all those, Breach Corkery. And they became more of household names, like when they were winning more, so they become more of role models, I suppose.
We have we've Niamh McEvoy on the show now, and we're also getting Sarah Rowe coming on next week. So we're just kind of wondering, as a goalkeeper, both of those two bearing down a goal, saying in different games, who are you kind of more wary of if you had to pick one?
Well, Niamh slotted a nice one home there in the semi-final, so I think it was like 7 seconds in and they did a bloody goal. Like, Dublin have top forwards. Like, I mean, their 6 that started the last day are just, you know, outstanding. They'd be, if you had a transfer system, they'd all be picked.
Right, so that was one of the best sidesteps I've seen from Martina.
I don't think it was a sidestep. I think she said, me.
Cheers for that one, Martina. Sound. You picked me, basically.
We're the week on 0, but
underestimate Mayo, typical. Yet again.
Thanks, Martina, for now making it extremely awkward on the panel. Great. So
I think she somehow started talking about Tracy Leonard. I think she did her best to try and nullify that awkward.
You're keeping a good game face. It's fine. It's grand. It's okay. Yeah, you're both still crap at word of the week, which is the most important thing. So at least we have that. Marcus is just going to be like, everything
go
else
home
can go
happy.
tits up, but I'm smug. Take a drink from your smug Sports Joe mug. Oh, that was too hard to say. Sorry. Right, so let's round up some of the weekend's action. So Cork, Galway. Are you guys watching that game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go first. No, I thought it was exactly what I expected from it. Like, it was locked down in both defences at the start. It was a very evening match for, say, the first quarter, and then kind of Cork capitalised on a few mistakes. I think Galway had opportunities to kind of put their noses in front, and when they didn't capitalise on them, then Cork went down and punished them. But fair play to Galway, like they really stuck in it till the end. Like they didn't know when they were beaten, you know, and it made for an exciting last 10 minutes. But it was exactly what I expected from the game. Like, two teams carry the ball a lot. Two teams get a lot of players back behind the ball. But no, it was a good spectacle, I suppose. Good for the sport.
Did she see a lot of
She
stuff that you're
basically
gonna?
said everything that I was thinking.
Grand. She takes the bearing in on goals tick and then does that Macker sound. That is not cool.
I know. Oh, sorry. Martina O'Brien was great. She was really good. Thanks, Martina.
She's definitely the loudest person on the pitch anyway, Martina O'Brien.
Martina. So that's like, that would be for, as a forward, is that annoying or is it just like, oh, she's a good keeper?
Yeah,
Like,
she's definitely she's a good keeper, and with experience you can tell. When we had Yvonne Byrne 2 years ago, who's retired since, she was a really big presence in the goal as well, and it was great for our defenders because she's constantly talking. But so it's more for the defenders, I feel, than the forwards against.
so is it more like an organisational kind of thing?
Yeah.
And then every once in a while kick up the ass.
Yeah.
Nice.
Basically.
Nice. So, and then as well as that, whopper win for Waterford over Kerry. That was pretty comprehensive. What was the final score? I have it written down here. 5-13 to 117, and at half time they'd already banged in 4 goals. That's
Yeah, I didn't know how that match was going to go. Obviously, Kerry would have been in Division 1 for years, so I'd know a lot more about them, but obviously they were competing in Division 2 this year. But I actually think I'm delighted for Waterford. I was listening to an interview with Michelle Ryan after the media day in the run-up to the final. She was saying, like, she's involved, I think, I don't know, was it like 15 or 18 years? And when she originally was involved, they were Division 1, and then they went down, I don't know, they won Division 3 there a few years ago. Now, obviously, they're after winning Division 2. So, like, she's gone full circle. She played Division 1, went down the divisions, and is after coming back up with the same team. Like, she's an unbelievable athlete. But I wasn't sure if Kerry... I had a feeling that Kerry might have a bit too much for them, because obviously Kerry have been competing in Division 1 for years. But I was delighted for Waterford that they came out on top. They had some young girls who, like, they scored 5 goals, but 5 different scorers. Like, 5 different girls scored goals that day. Like, so obviously their team have been building so much. Sometimes it's good for teams to go down and build and come back up rather than, like, stay up in Division 1, like, losing. So I'd hope the same thing would be able to happen to Kerry. Like, they'll build down Division 2 and come back up like a stronger team. But I think the Munster Championship's going to be very formidable this year. Like, Kerry are still going to be in the shake-up. They're still a really good team. Then obviously you've got Cork. Tipperary had a good league campaign this year. Then you've Waterford as well. So, like, I know Munster, it's always very competitive in Ulster. I know in Connacht it's kind of only the 2E.
Straight to the Connacht final.
Yeah, it's straight to the Leinster final. Straight to the Leinster final with us. And we absolutely respect, like, the Leinster Championship, and it means a lot to us to win it. But if you're only playing one game, like, I would be envious of what Munster are going to have this year. Like, they're going to have some great games and some great battles down there.
because Kerry they're going to face Waterford again next week. It's the championship there.
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
It's a big turnaround. And like the last
Cork
time they
have
played
championship in 3 weeks as well.
Yeah.
Whereas we're not out for another
the same with us,
weeks.
yeah.
and like that kind of match fitness is huge.
Yeah.
You don't
So
you can train as much as you
we'll
like.
from the league, considering now we didn't get to the semi-final or final, we're 12 weeks out of a competitive game, which is a significant amount of time. So, like, yeah, they're a bit of an advantage by having extra games, because that's all you need, more games.
So
And
we're
how do you
lucky-
find the transition then back to the round ball? I know, because you're like
Not too bad. I went straight into it though. The first week I played like 10 minutes against Cork, and I think I was a bit lost at the time.
yeah.
I think the more training like that, I just need as much games as possible. But essentially, I've been 8 months out of football, so it'll take me a bit of time to get back to myself.
You'll be grand. And then you got the young starts I know you mentioned before with Waterford. Kellyanne Hogan banged a goal as well. Did you see her interview? Mac, as you were talking about her interview after the game.
Yeah, I thought her interview was brilliant, but it was just real honest, you know. An 18-year-old, you know, I just saw the space in front of me, so I just attacked it, you know, and that's brilliant when you have like 18-year-olds come up like that and they've no fear. And yeah, I was delighted for her. I don't know.
Well, like, because Martina spoke a little bit about the, you know, that jump up from junior to senior, and it is a significant gap. Like, involved with underage. What age were you guys when you first, like, you were both quite young when you jumped into the senior?
Yeah, I went into the senior panel when I was 14, but obviously you couldn't play until you're 16. So, but that was back then. They haven't done that. We don't do that anymore.
No, I think
the youngest is minor that someone comes in, but then it was 14, which is good because you had 2 years to figure out what it was all about, and then you were thrown into a game. So I don't know.
I think the physicality of the game has significantly increased, and I don't think anyone would be in a position to. Like, I know Lindsay Davey played in an All-Ireland senior All-Ireland final when she was 15, and I don't think a 15-year-old now would be in a position to do that, like, unless they were like just had developed physically much earlier than their peers or whatever. But I think even 18-year-olds struggle now, like exactly what Martina was saying. The last 18-year-old I know who came straight in and kind of didn't do a season on the bench, kind of learning the ropes, was Sarah Rowe, and she just was like, she's a freak fitness wise, and she's just a very physical person. But I haven't seen anyone really do it since in any county. Yeah, I don't know if like there is girls up now who are brilliant minors, but they'll have to serve their time. You know, it's the same, like that has always been the case in the men's. You know, Brian Howard would have done a season, say for example, on the bench for a year or two even before he got. People are like, oh, he's so young, he burst in, but he didn't. Like, he served his time as well. And I think that's starting to kind of translate into the ladies' game. It's kind of just showing that where the game is going. You need to be at that level for a certain amount of time before you can compete. So,
but even if you look back at like Gaelic matches even 10, 15 years ago and now, like, it's completely changed. Even like the physicality and stuff, like you're, you know, seeing the inside of a gym regularly in S&C has such a huge impact as well. Like, you can't chuck a 15-year-old into that situation. Like, you probably could have went in, Jen. You're that person who develops physically. I had quote farmer strength. That's what I was told. Farmer strength. Yes. Oh, but like even now, I'm looking at it from the rugby point of view. Like, I remember my first cap, I got 5 minutes, and it was fine. Then my second cap came off the bench. I think I only played 15 or 20 minutes, and I was at full back. So you're not in as many rucks. Oh my God, I died for like a full week of just walking around like John Wayne. I was absolutely in pieces. And now the game for some teams have gone professional. So you're asking girls to make that jump up, and some of them are like, well, in rugby anyway, you're coming up against absolutely mahoosive tanks.
But imagine like a 15-year-old now playing against a, like, say 32-year-old, like basically a girl versus a woman. Like, it's just, there is such a difference.
And we all have a gym age bodies, now. Yeah. You know, like when we came up, the girls were they were just starting like to do a bit of weights, but not like we have a gym age now of 10 years, and these girls are coming straight from minor, and yeah, they're really good minors, but it's really noticeable. And I wouldn't notice that we have gotten stronger or anything, but just when these girls are coming up, it's much harder for them to transition in. It's not just their
the time when I was in with Mayo when I was 14, like, there wasn't a gym program in sight, so no one was doing a gym program, even though the girls were obviously like physically older and physically stronger, but it wasn't a thing. But obviously in the last few years there's been significant jump in that side of things, so yeah, it's very noticeable, really.
There's no harm in minding the girls, like, nobody, you know, like the girls need to be minded. They don't need, like, say for example Scally, who plays for Cork, she would have sat on the bench for a few years, and she probably would have been capable of starting for that team. But like, don't put girls in that situation. Like, I think there is, people know better now, like, with regard to player burnout, or, you know, any 15-year-old would be mad to they'd be like, yeah, definitely start me and all. But that's not probably what's best for them. And I know certainly Mick would be very conscious of like player welfare and what's best for that actual player, and is that player actually ready? Like, and managers in the past would have been like, yeah, she'll come on and make a difference, but then you're like, could she get seriously hurt because she's just not there yet?
But it's also not just the physicality, like with age, obviously, but I think it's the
know-how.
And the kind of mental resilience that you get from, like I can remember like when I was younger, how I dealt with losses is very different to how I deal with it now. And I was really lucky to have such experienced players around me to
Teach
basically, and like I was very much put under the wing and sheltered an awful lot. And you kind of, like, similar to yourself, you're going in at 14, like you're not just getting fitter and learning the tactics of a game, you learn a little bit more about how to win and how to lose and all these other really important off-pitch stuff that you mightn't necessarily see on TV, but
it's definitely a positive thing that the age has gone up. Like, girls are getting older and older coming in, because let them play their own age group, like protect them a bit. Joe, a couple of us would have went into, there's a batch of us all the same age, Sinead Goldrick and stuff, and we would have went into senior panels when we were 15 and stuff, and our hearts just weren't in it, and the girls were really serious and they were taking their football really serious, and we weren't. Like, we were still going to discos and stuff, it's just a completely different headspace. And if you're in that panel, you want to give it the respect that it deserves. But then we couldn't understand. We were like, why are they giving out to me for not doing this? But like, they're the standards that you need to have to play at that level. But your mind isn't there yet. Yeah, it's definitely a mental thing as well. But it says a lot for the sport that's you're not able to do that anymore. I can't see any 15-year-old competing in Division 1.
And like, did you have, maybe in like when you were first kind of breaking in, did you have a senior player or like a role model, so to speak, that was kind of like or did you even know that like that's the bar and that's where I need to get to? Or is it something that when you're older, you're like, oh, she was so wise. Yeah,
retrospectively, definitely for me, Denise Masson, she was incredible, and she'd say herself like that her skill level wouldn't be at, say, where Sinead Ahern would be, but the way she conducted herself and the way she trained, like, she was a professional in the amateur game years before anyone else conducted themselves that way. And I remember, like, she'd tell me things, she'd give me advice, and I'd be like, I'm going to get that tattooed on my body. Like, I thought she was incredible. She is incredible. So, like, even now, when we're at matches and I can hear her from the stand, I'm like, where is she? Like, she was well before her time in terms of just, she was doing all the right things to get her. And she'd say herself, like, she was as good as she was because of her work rate and endeavour and the way she applied herself. And lots of times you see young girls coming in who are really, really talented, but there's a gap there because they don't put that amount of work and effort in. And like, she was the person for me who showed me that you need to apply yourself a certain way to become a good intercounty footballer. Like, any level of skill is not going to be enough. And I don't know, I suppose she was just, you probably had someone as well, like...
I think Yvonne Byrne, like I was saying there, she was just an unbelievable leader, and someone that when she spoke in the dressing room, like, everyone would just be quiet, and she just had that respect of everyone. But she had a really good relationship with girls on and off the pitch, and she's a great crack, I have to say. Yeah. But
is so that's so important.
So
as well.
underrated. There's this like perfect balance between her being serious and her constantly having the crack, constantly setting you up to do something stupid, but yet being the one to put their arm around you when you do well or when you don't do something well, and to text you to see if you're all right after. But she just had a way with words like no other, and I think she was just a really big leader for me. And I think there was a few of them around that time, but she was the one that really stood out for me.
And do you find that it's gone like a little bit full circle? Like, I remember when I first came into the camp, I was like, oh God, it was very much imposter syndrome. I don't think I should be here. And it was, I think I only played rugby maybe for less than 2 years. And I got rooms with, once I got selected for the squad after not getting selected, and it was a bit weird. And I got roomed with Grace Davitt and Lynn Cantwell were both the two centres at the time. Like I came in at the right time, like amazing experience. And I was rooming with Grace. I was probably an absolute wreck the head as well, poor Grace.
Still are, girl. Probably.
We can cut that bit out.
Go on, sorry.
And she, I think going from even like soccer Gaelic or club rugby to international, like Martina was saying with the junior and senior, it's such a huge leap. But then even like the set piece and all these little 1%ers that like was blowing my mind. And poor Grace, like she should have been able to go off and have cups of tea with the other senior girls, but instead she stayed in the room with me and basically was helping me write out the moves and helping me like, okay, this is why you do this. And I spent like 50 minutes going over this with an annoying girl with a giant head of hair that was just kind of like looking around being like, this is great. And then I remember asking her, like, Grace, like I probably didn't word it fantastically well, similar to this now. Like we're competing for the same position and you're helping me so much. And she kind of said, well, like, I want to make you better because if you're better, then you're better for the team. And if you're better than me, but as well, she was saying like, if you're better than me, then you're better for the team. And it's my job. It was kind of very like, it was unbelievable. Like that's the one kind of thing that I have. Like I'd like to think that hopefully when new players kind of come in, I'd always have Grace Davitt's, like similar to you guys, Yvonne and Denise.
I think that's the thing. I think that's the idea of an actual leader is a leader who doesn't care if you surpass them and they want to make you better in order for the team to be better. I think there's I think people get the word leader wrong sometimes, but that is definitely the definition of a leader, someone who brings you along with them.
And like she wasn't she wasn't like the most, like she definitely wasn't a big vocal, massive speech giver. Like she was actually the filthiest person I've ever known as well. So hope she's not listening to this. She is a dirtbag. With jokes. She's a lovely person. I love her to bits. But also like an absolute crack dragon.
But that's so nice about being in that environment. Like those people who like, that's something that the management didn't see. She wasn't doing that for their benefit. Like to be like, look how great I am for the team, you know. And I've been very lucky to be like surrounded by so many girls like that. Like Elaine Kelly, who's now involved with us now, when she was a member of the panel, was very much like under the radar, doing things for people that the management weren't aware of, that other people weren't aware of. Like, so I suppose it's just they're the little intricacies of a team that other people don't know about. And
it's so important because like you said, it's when you're going into that as junior, it's so nerve-wracking as well. So to have that senior player.
But it's funny, you can forget that you didn't know all those things that Grace was telling you. And then like, I know like myself, like speaking to someone on my panel recently who's like 18, and I was like, come on, like, and she was like, I don't know what you're talking about, like just carry the ball over to me and give it to me and let me down. And I was just like, oh sorry, this is actually, like, you can totally forget that you were once that person who didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. But like, you just need to like check yourself, and like it's so important. I think it is like now people are like more accepting of those younger people coming up, and it's just have an awareness of where you've come from and what you once didn't know. You know, like you can, as you said about if you had to break down the rules of the GAA, there'd be so much in it, but you just take for granted what you know, and you just need to
just grew up now.
So it's nearly like intrinsic, or
it's just don't forget that. Be nice to the kids.
So that's the message, be nice to the kids. And to jump into more, like you're doing a lot of work with the 2020 campaign, there's a big push now on focusing on role models and stuff. I know you've mentioned Gaelic role models. Is there any other, when you were growing up, is there somebody that you kind of looked up to a bit? Pressure.
Yeah, unfortunately there wasn't too many women role models that I had. It was more so people like my granddad or my dad, and like they showed me what hard work was just in everyday life and what they did. And I think that they were who my role models were. But because I suppose the way lady sport was a few years ago, and it wasn't publicised as well as it is now, you probably couldn't see it. So I didn't actually have. But then Diana Hoare lived down the road from me. So I remember she rang me when I was in primary school and said, well done on some tournament that we won. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like this hero's after ringing me, like thinking I thought it was the biggest deal in the world. So like that shows how that little gesture by her had a really big impact on me. And then I was also coached by Chris and Marcella Heffernan when I was under 16, and they had obviously played for the seniors and won All-Irelands with Mayo, and that was also where I was like, oh, I want to be what they are, and I want to train as hard as they are. And when they trained us, I don't know if I've ever trained that as hard as I did that year. So they're people I suppose who have influences in my life, but if I was to pick a role model, it would probably be my granddad or my dad.
What about yourself, Marcus? Apart from me.
Yeah, you girl. I suppose similar enough to Sarah, like it wasn't publicised, like my role models in terms of, like obviously I was involved with Denise and she was a role model, but in terms of seeing women in sport, it wasn't really, like my role models in GAA would have been male footballers. But I suppose, yeah, I'm going to have to say my dad and my brother as well, they just use me as goalposts in the back garden. But no, yeah, it was the two lads like would have taught me. Just I would have grown up playing soccer, and it would have been as a result of playing out the back garden with my dad and my brother. So I suppose, yeah, the two boys. I would have followed, like, say, Sonia O'Sullivan and stuff. Like, I know Martina said that, I'm not just copying her, but because she was, yeah.
Just because she said that you're
there's still a lot of bitterness there, Martina. You have a lot to answer for.
But I honestly was mad into Sonia O'Sullivan because she was a female athlete and she was in the newspapers and stuff. I thought she was amazing. I think in 2003 and 2004, Dublin ladies got to the All-Ireland final, and neither of those years they were successful. But I remember being at those games and thinking, that's like, I want to achieve that, and that probably would have been a stepping stone for me deciding to go in the direction of GAA, because I played a lot of sports growing up. But yeah, there wasn't a huge amount. I didn't know any of the names of any of the girls who played in those teams. I just knew that they'd played in All-Ireland finals because I attended them, you know. So
you wanted to wear a blue jersey.
Yeah, exactly. But I obviously know who they are now, but I didn't at the time. There wasn't like the sport definitely wasn't publicised the way it is now. Yeah.
Well, we're going to hear a little bit more about that next week, because 20 by 20 there's another big announcement coming, so I'm going to keep the tension going because they won't tell me because I'm not important enough.
Coming out on Thursday,
yeah, you know,
stay tuned.
Nice, that's better than me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate that. Yeah. So we're moving on to more global stuff. So we've got our golf correspondent on the line, Niamh McEvoy. That was so cringe. Actually, you guys have to help me come up with some kind of, what was it? Niamh, the producer, is basically making me come up with a catchphrase, which is super cringy. So, like, if you've got any ideas as we kind of waffle on, please let me know. Welcome to the show with the lady with the mop. No.
I think it has to. I think it
has to relate to your hair. Definitely.
Well, what if I tie it up?
The curls will still be there.
Oh, great.
Exercise.
Okay, well, back to golf. Because you guys were great at coming up with ideas for that. So thanks very much. Thanks, Niamh, for making me ask them as well. Appreciate that. I keep on saying it. This is very confusing. Mackers and Niamh, sorry. So Mackers, Leona Maguire. Well, actually, firstly, what is your handicap?
I don't have a handicap anymore, but yeah, the lowest I ever played off was 13.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's grand.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
good. I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Oh,
no, it's grand. Like, it's grand. But
oh, hold on a second. Are you sagging her? You were not taking the award thing, so you're letting her. Hold on a second. You were like,
I'm just the best of the Irish in the AFL.
I've won 2 awards. No. It's no big deal. Whatever. Oh yeah, and now you're
making
kind
us both uncomfortable, Jen.
Yeah, I know. I can't.
You know, the main thing is, as long as I'm not uncomfortable, I don't care. So yeah, great. Back to you being unbelievable at golf, Mackers.
Listen, unreal.
You like big putts and you cannot lie. What? Oh, I can't believe I said that.
Are on a roll.
So what would you say is your strength in golf?
I don't know. Off the tee box, probably. My drive. I'd
say,
yeah.
Perfect. Have you ever dabbled?
No, couldn't. No. I wouldn't say I'd even be able to hit the ball, to be honest.
Have a bit of faith in yourself. You've won 2 awards. Probably do that. Yeah. I can't wait. next year in Collingwood, magpie player, and also no, I can't come up with another golf award. Okay, I dabble.
Do you?
Yeah.
The driving range.
So you wanted us to ask you, what about your golfing skills?
Oh no, I'm actually really crap. Like no, I mean, I've only the last time I played golf was tried to play golf was like two or 3 years ago. So have to watch it because my back, old and decrepit. It's still pretty good, Mackers.
Yeah, it's grand. I had to give up like years ago because obviously there's a lot going on with football and stuff, and 18 holes of golf does actually take a lot out of you. I know people are like, oh, you're just walking around, but no, concentrating for that long is really difficult.
And I like the fact that we're talking more about you playing golf than Leona Maguire, who's doing really well.
I know, I was waiting. I was like, Jen.
Sorry, okay. So, hold on, I'll intro this great. Leona Maguire, tell us more.
Are you? Yeah. So Leona Maguire had a really positive performance during the week. She was playing in the European Tour in Dubai, and it was her best finish yet in the European Tour. She has had a professional win since she's turned professional, but just not on the tour. That Dubai actually, I know, sorry, just I don't mean to go off on a tangent again because you do it all the time, but sorry. It was a day to night.
I saw that agreement head roll. Thanks.
It was a day to night tournament. So you know the way in Dubai, like they're like, we're going to do that. We're going to make this, and we're just going to make it slightly better than everywhere else, or slightly tackier. But anyway, you can on the course. When they had like floodlights, so it was a floodlit golf course, and they finished the round in the nighttime, which I just thought was a bit of a cool thing. Anyway, but. Golf nerd.
Did you play in it or?
No, I've never played in it. No, sorry. But on the first day, Leona shot 64, so shot like 8 under. It was like course record and stuff, so super impressive stuff by her. And then she would have been a bit disappointed with her second day, but she was still in the mix on the final day. On the 11th, she was in the share of the lead. So I suppose she just wants to be, she's just recently turned professional, so if she keeps getting those top 10 finishes, putting herself in a position to win. You know the nature of golf. Do you ever watch the Masters? No?
Yeah.
So do you remember a couple of years ago, like Spieth just completely capitulated, and then this rando who was getting no coverage. Obviously he's not random, he's a professional golfer, but he was getting no coverage, and then he just ended up winning it, Danny Willett. Like, so if Leona's putting herself in the position on the last day and to be in the top 10, like that's amazing. And then just in terms of the landscape in Ireland, golf's still quite masculine. There's still clubs that don't take women members and stuff, so it's great to have someone, an Irish ladies golfer who's doing so well, and
she's still considered a rookie. Like she usually holds the record for being world amateur number 1 for like 135 weeks. 35,
I think.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, afterwards we're going to check that. Okay, damn it. I was like so sure it was 131.
No, yeah, she's super
Sarah, what
impressive.
do you think? 131 or 135? No pressure.
135.
Oh, what is this?
Just really
Studied it before I came.
Thanks very much. So
I knew my notes.
Yeah.
Were they in the notes? Oh, it's 135. It says right here.
It's right in front of you.
Okay, well, I'm going to still stick with 131 because I'm pig-headed. But yeah, so she was doing really well. She was leading with this Spanish girl. What was her name? Neuris was winning. Ituro.
I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it.
Okay, I probably butchered it. I actually don't. Ituro, she was winning, but I think she bogeyed in the. She was winning it for a while, and then
she was in a share of the lead on the 11th. I'm not like 100% sure. I kind of look back on it retrospectively, but she was in a share of the lead, which is ideal. Like that's where you want to be, coming down the back 9 on the final day. I suppose she'll learn a lot from it. Obviously she's very experienced. She was the best amateur for the longest amount of time ever.
That's it's a long amount of time.
Yeah.
Like over 130 weeks.
But yeah, no, so obviously she is very experienced, but just in terms of experience within she might have got away with having a bogey on the back 9 when she was an amateur and still winning, but she'll learn a lot from that if she keeps getting top 10 performances in terms of just course management and managing herself and the pressure that she would be under going down that back 9. If she just keeps putting herself in contention and putting herself in those positions, like she's gonna come good with a big victory soon. And she has had a professional win already, but just obviously on the tour and stuff.
And then it's only 3 3 shots behind the winner, that's not bad going. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
no, best of luck and looking forward. We'll probably be chatting more about how she's getting on if she keeps on going the way she's going.
Yeah.
So before we have to wrap up, you guys looking forward to playing each other in the summer?
Who knows? We may or may not play each other.
I don't
Guys,
even
they
know the
haven't done
draw.
it,
I don't
I
know.
don't even know the draw either.
No, I don't know if they've done
I'm
it.
literally just like
Oh.
final.
Yeah, I don't
then
know. I'm
after
obviously, yeah. Westmeath.
Man, I was talking about Martina's sidestep, but well done, lads. Yeah, brilliant, unbelievable work there. Great. Yeah. Thanks a million. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Thanks.
stuff.
Thanks. I didn't like this at all. This was, I felt like I held no power there. That
Sit
is.
higher in your
essentially-
chair.
I'm not. This is
Yeah.
this is the lowest this chair goes.
It's the hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is as low as it goes. Hold on, I'll go a bit higher. There you go. Actually, that's probably
feel
really
important
awkward
now.
for the, yeah. Well, listen, that is all we have time for. Massive thanks again to Sarah Rowe for joining us and for
Thanks for
Niamh
having me.
McEvoy. Thank you. Yeah, tune in next week. Thanks a million for listening, guys.